Do you remember the last time you saw Cincinnati play a football game? Well, the last time any of us saw Cincinnati play a football game, they went to Salt Lake City. They played Utah. Game day was in town, justifiably so, and they got smacked. I mean, absolutely 45-14. It was ugly. It was not good. It was very bad. And now Cincinnati is at home off a bye in a battle of Bearkats and Wildcats. And the number of different cats for mascots that we've got across the country in college sports is too many to count. Maybe that's why this game is going to fly under the radar. Maybe it won't. I was happy to see the committee realized what I had already realized with my rankings in the last couple of weeks, and that's that Cincinnati, even though they had a very bad loss, was still worthy of being a top 25 team. So they have bookended their season. They started with a 3-point loss to Nebraska. They lost last time out against Utah, and sandwiched in between was a bunch of really good play, better defense than you probably think. Brandon Sorsby playing well, and the Bearcats running the ball also better than you think, to the tune of 7 straight wins. Do they get back to that here against Arizona? They are also, this is a popular line this week with our friends at FanDuel, a 6.5-point home favorite. Let me say something about Cincinnati that I bet you also didn't. I feel like everything with Cincinnati is flying under the radar because they weren't on my radar or most people's coming into this year, aside from the general conversation of will Scott Satterfield be fired after this year? Yeah, that's of course not going to happen because the season is going very well. It's going so well, in fact, that the only group of 5 team to ever make the playoff without an automatic bid, this program several years ago, controls its own fate to make the college football playoff. Did you know that? What did I say one of their losses was? Nebraska? That's not a Big 12 team. Used to be, not anymore. Utah? Okay, but Utah has 2 conference losses. 2. Plus, we know how much the Big 12 hates head-to-head matchups in deciding tiebreakers. Anyway, who does Cincinnati have left on the schedule? Oh, it's Arizona this week, and then next week it's BYU. Also at home. The magnitude of that game, that's a playoff elimination game. That's what it is. We used to have these earlier in the season. We still get them in the 12-team playoff. I'm appreciative of that, even though I have been critical of the expansion of the 12-team playoff. We still find those matchups. It's why I still like college football more than the NFL, which I'm not opposed to. But I'm here to talk about college football because it's just objectively better. But Arizona at home, who's quietly gotten themselves into bowl season this year, they're 6-3. Noah Fafita playing some pretty good ball defensively. Arizona, not something you talk about a lot. The Arizona defense, I'm just saying if you watch it, you go, oh, hey, they're pretty good on that side of the ball. Well, pretty good on that side, good quarterback on the other, and head coach that does indeed have a track record of winning. Yeah, it turns out Arizona has indeed outperform some folks' expectations this year. And after last season, there was a strange hot seat talk with Brent Brennan after 1 year. I never understood that. And here he is. He's got Arizona moving forward. This would be one of those flag plant moments, one of those landmark sort of wins. Kansas State earlier this year kind of was that. But this would be a big one because Arizona's trying to play spoiler on the road. And Cincinnati, if they win this week, and then they win next week against BYU, and then they win the following week at TCU, the Cincinnati Bearcats could wind up in the Big 12 championship game playing for an automatic berth to the college football playoff because they have just the one Big 12 loss. As it stands, they would hand BYU their second. You presume Texas Tech isn't losing the rest of the year. I don't expect for that to take place. So, does Cincinnati get this done at home, off a bye with all the urgency in the world? Crowd should be on fire. I think they do. I think they do. I like Cincinnati to win this game big in this one. I picked Bama 31-14 earlier in the show over Oklahoma. I'm going bigger than that. I think Arizona, who is a good story, Brent Brennan's done a good job going to a bowl game, positive trajectory, all that sort of stuff. I think that comes to a little bit of a halt because Cincinnati has bigger aspirations right now, and it is within their own grasp. So give me the Bearcats, 38, Arizona, 20. Final score. I almost went 21, but I'm going 2 field goals instead of the touchdown there. So give me Cincinnati to win that one. Here is another one that I talked about earlier this week. And I know so very easily where I'm going with this game as well. Duke is favored at home by 6.5 points. Sorry, that was earlier this week. Just double checked in real time as I'm recording this show. They're down to a 4.5 point favorite against Virginia. What is something that I've seen? Don't be surprised when this pops up in the best bets tomorrow. What's something that I've pointed out time and again this year? And I'm not the first person to make this observation. I'm not acting like I'm discovering gold for the first time or anything like that, circa California in the 1840s. But when an unranked team is favored against a ranked team, doesn't it make you think? Doesn't it make you wonder? Virginia has to get their offense going in this game. 9 points last week at home in the loss to Wake Forest, who's also been a good story this year. 9 points in Charlottesville for the Cavaliers. Tony Elliott's an offensive guy. He's got to be able to get that going in a more positive direction, because on the other side, you've got Darian Mensah. And Duke, I think last week, got caught in a look-ahead spot. I had it as one of my best bets, UConn plus 9.5. They wound up winning the game outright. Would have been a heck of a selection for a game day Saturday Superdog pick, because you get more points if they win outright. Well, UConn won, and guess what? It doesn't impact Duke's ability to, wait for it, make the college football playoff. I'm someone who for a long time has said auto bids are ridiculous. Duke could be the shining example of that. They could play in the ACC championship game for a right to have an automatic bid to the playoff. They could be a 4-loss team when they do it. I think they're winning on this week. I think they're absolutely winning this week at home against Virginia. I like the way that they're playing. And I think they were thinking about this game last week, because UConn, it was weird. In the middle of the conference slate, sometimes Clemson plays the Citadel all the time. Ole Miss played the Citadel last week. Those late season cupcakes that thankfully are going away after this season. Cannot wait for that. This was not one of those. It was, but it wasn't. UConn is just a better version of that, because they're a group of 5 caliber sort of team. They're just kind of caught in it. Jim Moore is their head coach, and they play some pretty good football over there. Go look up the numbers of UConn's quarterback this year if you want to be impressed by something. So, yeah, I think Duke wins this game against Virginia. I don't think there's a lot of defense played. That's been the hallmark for Duke, which is strange because Manny Diaz is a defensive guy, and I thought their defense played pretty well last season. They just haven't been able to find it this year. He might make a change at defensive coordinator in the offseason, but why don't we save that conversation for the offseason and say that Duke wins this game over Virginia. I actually think the under hits. It's 58.5. I don't think it's going to be a slugfest or anything of that nature, but I will take Duke to win and swallow the 4.5 points. 31-23. I think they get it done over Virginia. So, riding the favorites with my picks this week. Riding a lot of favorites out there. Should that scare me? Probably. But Duke might wind up being one of my best bets on the show tomorrow. So don't sleep on Arizona at Cincinnati. Don't sleep on Virginia at Duke, a couple of one-loss ACC teams. Playoff implications. The weekend is almost here. Appreciate everyone listening. I'll see you next time. Until then, hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.